Hi, this is Henry.
And this is Ellie.
We're back again for another Tarot Major Arcana pairing, and this time we have the Hierophant and the Priestess.
Yep, and here's the visual. I'm going to do it one at a time because my other hand is occupied. Mm-hmm. And this is the Rider-Waite version.
So to start us off, let's go through the basics of the cards. So the Priestess, as a lot of us would know, is attributed to the moon, whilst the Hierophant is Taurus. Now why is it significant is that if you guys know your astrology, the moon is exalted in Taurus. So we see that there is that intrinsic relationship between the two.
Can I interject with a question for a moment?
Oh, go for it.
Why is the moon exalted in Taurus?
Good question. Because the moon represents our mind, where we get our sort of emotional nourishment from, where we can sort of calm down and relax. So moon feels more relaxed in earth signs, where it's more grounded and balanced. It doesn't feel good in watery signs, even though it's a water planet. There is a dynamic where if it's in a water sign, it's too much. It's like your emotions are so easily influenced. You know, but if it's in an earth sign, then it's a lot more balanced, it's stable. And the reason why Taurus in particular, because if you have moon in, say, Capricorn, Capricorn's very austere, which is just not really nourishing for moon. Moon likes to feel comforted, but at the same time nourished and all that stuff. So Virgo and Capricorn it's okay for the moon, but not great. Taurus, on the other hand, knows how to sort of enjoy life as well as to be in a balanced way, and so this is why the perfect place for the moon to be in. Yeah,
Right.
it's okay. Okay.
Sorry, I made you digress.
But it's a very good question. But to keep going, so the Priestess being exalted in Taurus, we can kind of show that actually it's the male counterpart to the Priestess is the Hierophant, not the Magician. We can kind of see, the Priestess and Magician. The Priestess and the Hierophant have that more sort of religious or spiritual undertones compared to the Magician, because Magician is intrinsically androgynous, so it's very independent. Doesn't really have a female counterpart. He has the feminine inside him already. You have to think of the Magician as gender neutral rather than as.
And the
masculine.
Magician is ruled by Mercury, right?
Yeah.
So Mercury is an androgynous god
planet.
figure.
So.
Yes.
So that's sort of the crux of it. Whilst the Hierophant is obviously distinctly masculine, as well as the Priestess as the divine feminine.
And why would you describe the Priestess as feminine and the Hierophant as masculine, besides the obvious reason that they are depicted as a female and a male?
Well, it's interesting that the Hierophant isn't purely masculine. We'll get to that reason why later. But they're both. The Priestess is feminine because of her really passive nature and also very movable. That she's influenced by the masculine, but she's flexible in that sense.
She's flexible because of the moon influence, and the moon is always changing and going through, transitioning into different phases. Mm-hmm. Okay, always fluctuating.
Going through the waxing and waning cycles. Whilst by comparison, the Hierophant is a lot more solid. He's stable. He doesn't. Taurus is the fixed sign of Earth, so it's the most unmovable zodiac sign out there. So this is a very sharp contrast to the Priestess. Even though Taurus is kind of feminine. He's ruled by Venus. He's kind of feminine because he's still kind of passive in that sense. But that very solid, fixed nature has that masculine strength in there in a way, even though it's derived from the feminine. So the Taurus and the Hierophant is kind of like the little dot of yang inside the yin. he's kind of the strength of the feminine. Interesting thought. Okay, I think that way before. Anyway, anything you want to add?
Yeah, well, I would word it differently, but I think the way you worded it was very good. Yeah, so as you'd mentioned before, I'm looking down at my notes. The priestess and the hierophant are female and male counterparts of spiritual figures. And as you were saying, they both, the hierophant is somewhat feminine as well in that he receives from source.
Yeah.
The priestess is receptive of source, as is the hierophant, only the hierophant takes that and indoctrinates, so to speak, and distributes that knowledge openly, publicly. He serves as more of a public figure. So in that sense, yes, he's more masculine because he takes that information and then he's active with it.
So he has elements of the magician in him as well, you can see. He translates the messages from source in a way that other people can understand. Whereas the priestess just knows it in herself, and that's it. She'll act in her own way.
She holds.
It holds,
She holds. And the hierophant is also connected with religion and dogma, and therefore structure. He definitely has more of the theme of structure. And he is the teacher by communicating and actively sharing his wisdom.
Yeah.
And what else would I say? Well, the hierophant is, as you mentioned, a representative of the divine masculine. The priestess is a representative of the divine feminine. However, I would say that the priestess is more of the spirit realm than the hierophant is. She's part of both, but it's like if we were to do percentages, like maybe 70-30 or something like that.
I mean, if we were to have the hierarchy, it would be sort of like this. Like, the priestess will have, she's more directly connected. She'll hold it in herself, and then it will go through her into the hierophant.
Interesting.
Because if you think about the Tree of Life, for those of you who are Kabbalistically minded, the hierophant is Vow, so it has the number 6, and it relates to Tiferet. And priestess is the path between Kether and Tiferet. So you actually have, like, she is the connecting path between hierophant and source in a way.
Wow.
It's good that you brought that up.
Yeah. And so I was saying before about how she lives more in the spirit realm than the earthly realm, but she does serve as an intermediary between earth and spirit, but she's more of the spirit. Whereas I would say the hierophant is connected more to earth than
I would say the hierophant, is the grounding of the spiritual forces, whilst the priestess is the transmitter in a way that she is the portal through which it comes into the realm. If you think about it in scientific terms, it's like the priestess is sort of the circuit, the wire that connects the two, whilst the source is like the battery, and the hierophant would be like a light bulb or the thing that receives that battery at the end of the circuit.
Well, as the priestess is representative of the divine feminine, she connects more with intuition than the hierophant. You don't think of intuition when you think of the hierophant, however you do think of wisdom.
It's like the priestess, again, she receives the intuition, but then the hierophant will translate her intuitions into a philosophy and principles, you see. Sort of rough rules that people can follow if they haven't gotten their intuition.
I guess it's stressing more the fact that she's more of an emphasis on reception. Intuition is a form of receiving. Reception. Yeah.
And the hierophant is like the translator of the priestess. Let's go slightly sort of into the symbols of the cards. You can kind of see in the Hierophant. You see in the Thoth Hierophant, the priestess is actually in the card over here. Although technically this figure is Venus, she's holding a moon. Because Venus and the moon are intertwined. Venus is kind of the lower form of the moon, so they are intricately linked. So you see here, she's obviously ruling, has that link within the symbols themselves, and you see even in the Rider-Waite actually,
yes.
to the priestess. Let's get the priestess out.
Okay, one hand at a time. Okay.
You see in both these cards, the priestess wears these horns with a solar disc on it. This relates to the mythology of Isis, who is said to be the throne of the god, of the patriarchal god. She is the seat of the highest, in a sense. So you can see it by the cow's horns. She has that link to the Taurus, which is the bull. And the solar cow's horns has a solar disc of Amun-Ra. And if you remember, again, with the Taurus being Val and Tiferet is the sun. So the Hierophant himself has a very solar aspect to him. And you can see the Hierophant here is enthroned. He's sitting on a bull, and this relates to the mythology of Mithras, which is the origin story of the Jesus myth. Father Mithras was a bull god who died and was resurrected in the same way. And this also relates to the god Horus. So Horus, Mithras, and Jesus are kind of different aspects of the same idea. And you can kind of see, and this is even recorded in mythological history, that the idea of Virgin Mary came from the Egyptian goddess Isis. So we can see in these two cards, you have the Virgin Mother and the Son of God, dynamic here. So this is very, very significant pairing. Again, it's like the mother is the transmuter of what would become the son.
Yeah.
We have that myth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as my mentor, Jacqueline Dubois, always says, this world is all about the mother and the son.
Yeah.
Is that our boat?
That's our boat, so we better get moving. Just in time that we've finished. But thank you very much. We'll see you next time. If you enjoy our video, please like and subscribe. This is Henry.
And this is Ellie, and if you have any comments or questions, please do share. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
See you.